Super. I am online. I'm just checking whether everything is okay, making sure I'm audible, visible. Super. I am online. I'm just checking whether. All right. Looks like very much online. Just making sure I invite my community people in case they want to watch me online. Super. All right. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Intelligence using Brain Power, Brain Skills. And we are officially on episode number 63. We're going to be talking about how flexibility, mental flexibility, is going to help you become aware, adaptable in a lot of aspects in life. Okay. You're going to be learning how to use, practical strategies to develop that flexibility in you so that you operate with less friction in life. Also, strategies for better decision making using the power of flexibility and how to stay calm, creative, and stay focused when you know the planned ones gets shifted. There could be many things happening around us because we are involving with people around us, and world as such is going through a lot of changes, and in fact, life is full of changes. How are we going to be striking that balance and be on the track, on the journey? So if we operate with friction resistance, not able to necessarily create that kind of conducive environment for us to keep moving, what are the skill set is needed? What is the missing elements? So we need to be upgrading ourselves to be able to move forward easily and with grace. So for which I think emotional intelligence skill set is more of very intangible ones, but most effective ones and much needed skill set for 21st century. So emotional intelligence is needed for all aspects of ages, starting from a toddler. They need to be aware of, in fact, they have to be literate on emotions in order to be able to identify what emotions um, they are going through, and how can they regulate their tantrums, and how will they transition really well, even though they are very young, and their mind is not yet matured, but they also take decisions, right? Sometimes decisions, I recently read in a study that choices, when it becomes autopilot, becomes an habit. So on an average, we take about 35,000 plus choices in a day, a proper adult. That doesn't mean that we are constantly taking decisions. Most of them are on autopilot. So we know exactly which hand we have to brush, and which door, which hand you have to use for opening door, and what kind of coffee you want, what dresses you want. Sometimes you might want to decide on apparels, and especially the shopping and wardrobe and the cooking, and all that requires a little bit of thinking, but most of them are on autopilot. You exactly know which route you have to take. You know how to handle your car. So we're not going to spend much time on deciding on those things because we have put that in autopilot. That is where we become efficient. But in order to thrive in the unknown situations, or sometimes we need to come out of the comfort zone to be able to understand what is required at that moment. So life teaches you that way, and nature really helps us learn adaptability. And especially when you are with people, let it be when you are in a parenting role, or career, you're managing a team, or you're in a high stake leadership role, driving a community of people, or a full-time mom, who just have to take care of the family goals. So any which ways, life gives you a lot of changes. Okay. So how are we approaching that changes? How are we embracing that changes into our way of life? So when I say, I always quote my super mentor who just passed on the legacy. Okay. So you and your business, or you and your work, is not different. We are what we are anywhere. On that note, if we are not able to be organizing ourselves better, it'll reflect on your business. So you may think that you're just a full-time mom. You may want to feel like, why do I need all this goals and vision, and why do I have to organize, and nobody's actually monitoring. I'm just at the comfort of my home. But you are what you are in various walks of um, life, and even as a full-time mom, that is how you demonstrate, even in your parenting or in your kitchen or in your family goals. That's how you conduct yourself. Even when you step out, and when you're networking or conducting yourself with others, that is how you demonstrate. So it is how you do anything, it's how you do everything. On that note, what I want to put across is, these skill set will definitely help you irrespective of any roles, any age group. And I know a lot of people are watching these episodes, could be a student, could be a graduate, or a professional, or a career advancing person, or a women on a career break who want to buckle up, on the ladder, or who is a entrepreneur who wants to know about how to deal with their emotions, and their customer. They want to tap into those the power of understanding their customers' emotional aspects. How do they ride that trend of market using emotional intelligence in terms of making those skill set into use, right? So a lot of people who can, different walks of life who are watching this episode. So I would like to tell you a few principles and few strategies which are commonly can be implemented, because I initially started this episode for dedicating to moms, but then I realized that when it is out there as a free resources, it can be reached out to a lot of people uh, from different domains. So on that note, emotional intelligence is it's a common thing. It is always from us, within us. The wisdom is always lying within us. It's not an outside study. It's more of a, it starts with self-awareness, self-management, how you regulate yourself, and then how do you channelize that, how do you direct yourself. So it starts with us. And how do we help others? Like, if you can read your emotions really well, you'll be able to read the same in others. And emotions drives performance. We've seen a lot of episodes with using a the episode itself is constructed in such a way that we define it, we weigh the pros and cons, and we establish the applicability where you can apply the particular skill, in what domains, and angling to the particular title of that episode. And we deep dive into taking one skill, angling into different walks of life. How does it suit for a parent? How does it suit for a leader, student, or a business entrepreneur? And then we also share brain hacks and a case study, people who have successfully demonstrated, and how do they manage, and what kind of brain skills do they have, and how can we adapt. So all that is given in a very power packed episodes, and each and every episode can give you a lot of insights. So with this awareness, you'll be able to take a right informed choices. So when you take that kind of a choices, it becomes a application by itself. So it's just not the knowledge, it's out there. You started, it's like you knowing a lot of instruments, it's not going to make you a musician. You need to play on it. So the more you play, the more you become better at it. You can call yourself as musician. So similarly, you need to be able to apply on it. So I also give a lot of tools for you to, immediately apply. So on that note, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, so that you will get notified whenever there is a video published, whether it is live or it's recorded. So you'll get notified. And also subscribe to my Spotify channel, because the same topic is being discussed over there in a nutshell, using a different examples and different angle, but it'll be on the fly, on the go. You can just put on your headphones and listen to that. But make sure that you follow through all these 100 episodes. Imagine for 100 days you are imbibing yourself into a particular skill which is not being taught to us at all. So if I had been emotionally literate, there could be a lot of areas that I could have just saved my energy and time and efforts, right? I really wish our education system is reformed in such a way that it goes to, as a main subject to our children, so that they will be able to regulate their emotions really well. And research after research, um, it is also, announced that emotional intelligence is the 21st century skill set. It is no more, gone are the days where there is no priority for emotions. All that is all over. So it's like how post-pandemic the world is not the same. Similarly, we are in mental health pandemic, and it is even more important to combat that and to be able to overcome that. So if you're listening to this and if you really resonate with this kind of an episode, please do share. Um, First of all, give me an indication that you really liked it. Press that like button, love, show me your love, and also don't stop yourself to share with somebody whom you think may be waiting for this kind of a message. And that way, my mission, gets fulfilled because I'm on a mission to help 1 lakh women, uh, very least number, especially with the advanced technology right now. We need to be able to spread this awareness into a lot of people. But I'm fondly, dedicate this entire series because I'm a busy mom myself. Whatever mistakes I've done, I don't want other moms to do that. So special love and support for those moms who are juggling with multiple roles. But it is also important that through those women, uh, you know, they are able to spread their wings to, maybe they are parent, they're also career oriented person who's also handling a lot of people. So that way, it can just get spreaded. So on that note, let's see what we've got for today. Okay, let me share my screen with presentation today. And I must tell you, it's going to be a very, very power packed. So hold your gears and make sure that you take more notes, and also share your comments below, whatever you're learning, participate so that you will get the essence of your learning, right there. So we're going to, in this episode, see how to master that mental flexibility in you. Again, the friction happens over here. Sometimes the physical inflexibility can still be okay. I mean, can still be taken care of, right? Some, I happened to come to US a few years back, and my knees gave up on me because maybe because of the cold or lack of sun. Even before I could identify what is the problem, I was in crutches. I had to go to a lot of physiotherapy and go to specialists to understand what is happening. And one overnight, I couldn't stand. I mean, the next day morning, I couldn't stand properly on my legs. So that was it was a very depressing moment where I was really confused as to what is happening, because all these while I've been busily running around. I've never been dependent. Suddenly it happened. So now that could be physical inflexibility. That'll take time. Any kind of physical, strenuous, painful uh, situations, that will take time. But mental flexibility, mental inflexibility, it happens constantly all the time. Our little voice always stops us doing from certain things, right? So that has to be curbed, and that can happen only with right kind of awareness. So that's what we're going to see today, so that you will be able to adapt for success in any situation. Okay. By definition, what's happening here is the ability to adjust your mindset and strategies when faced with unexpected challenge. I must tell you, because we are dealing with brain skills in this series, I want to let you know that this is my right side and this is my left side. You may be a right brain driven, creative, emotionally, well connected with people. You may be also somebody could be left brain driven, where they take a lot of logical inputs, strategies, numbers, trends, reports, progress is all they speak about. Okay, you can find out their keywords. But I must tell you, emotional intelligence itself, to means that you need to be in the midbrain taking a blend of both these data. And how are you effectively approaching, um, you know, sometimes it could be needed that you need to be right brain driven, maybe because a lot of people involved, right? It could also be the same way where even though there are people involved, there is also a process importance to be given. You need to be objectively approaching certain times. There could be some situations where you need to be emotionally, trying to understand the impact and understand the awareness of it, even though it is being backed up by your data. So, for example, in your career, there are policies, regulations, there are budgets, right, within which you need to work on it. If there is no framework, people go, haywire. They'll get crazy, and people don't work as a shared goals. So there will be no direction. So it is very important that while your emotions is understood, that it is driving your performance, it always has to be, your decisions always has to be backed up with the logical data. In essence, we are taking both these components. So let's see, even though we are talking about the adaptability or flexibility as a skill, it is your right brain approach. but how your left brain is going to help you. So analyzing situations logically to identify alternative strategies that is going to lead you to desired outcomes. So you need to first of all identify the need for you to be flexible in some areas, right? Just because somebody is going to choose that option out of peer pressure, out of bias, because you like that person, it is so very natural right now, right? People, they follow some leaders and influencers, and they do what their influencers are doing, right? They don't value, they're not authentic. They just follow what their leaders are doing. So you need to be having that kind of a logical validation as to do why you're doing what you're doing, as well as you must have that emotional acceptance, right? Just because it is logically profitable, you don't want to fall into that. Unless, see, sometimes in life that's what we do, whether we like it or not, we have to do it. But on the long run, we know exactly that we are taking the short-term pain because of the long-term gain. So the understanding and forecasting the long-term gain is your emotional component there. At least that much you should have that anticipation. You should be able to forecast that. So that is an emotional skill. So now when we call it emotional skill, it's not about getting emotional only. It is about using a lot of other creative brain, the right brain component in it. What are all those things is what we are covering in this 100 episodes. So adaptability is very much is the right brain component. But even for that, you need to be taking a blend of logical output. Okay. And then again, right brain approach is using creativity and intuition to explore unconventional solutions to overcome challenges innovatively. Now, talking about innovation, spark, that ignition or motivation, energizing, tolerance, patience, faith, all these are right side, which are not taught enough, you know, uh, in the education. But in our culture, this is the awareness that our family had given to us, the value system, the vices and, w- uh, you know, virtues and vices and philosophies, um, then scriptures. All these are talking about emotional intelligence skills, but it has to be backed up by logical evidences as well. One side, the education is only talking about the logical proof of evidence. Another side, our culture and all that is talking about the right brain activities. But there's no blend of anywhere. So that is the need of the hour. So there has to be a science and spirituality going hand in hand, right? Science and creativity. Science also needs creativity. As much as it is backed up by data, it also needs that spark of creativity going on. Otherwise, innovation and advancement will not happen. So on that essence, you need to use your creativity and intuition to explore that unconventional ideas. You need to come out of that comfort zone for you to bring you out of that comfort zone. Because within the framework, if you're working, by, every day morning, you just go for your work and take your laptop and you keep working. By end of the 30 days, you're getting your salary, right? But logically, this is what will happen. But why do you have to create something there? Why do you have to innovate something unless there's a project, there is an initiative that you are into? Until such time, we are all always in the comfort zone. So over there, the brain doesn't progress, right? Unless you use your, that is why there has to be a progressive goals. Even when you're working at a work, in a corporate, or you have your business, or even in, individual life, there has to be some spark of creativity, motivation, innovation. Something has to happen to make sure your right brain is, activated all the time. So this kind of episodes will give you those strategies to activate your right brain, left brain, and midbrain. Let's see what are those. First, we need to understand pros of flexibility in your thinking itself. When you have this, it's going to help you creatively problem solve. Mental flexibility helps finding creative solutions when unexpected challenges arises. Okay. But if you're not ready for the changes at all, you don't have that acceptance. Then you resist. You start resisting. Then creativity will not happen. Forget about solving problems. Creativity cannot happen. Maybe you will solve the problem which doesn't need your creativity. It is yet another routine that there is no problem solving there. But for you to, handle that change, because change comes with some challenge in it. And how creatively do you approach? How willingly? How open are you? That is where adaptability kicks in. Then resilience. Being mentally adaptable allows quick recovery from setbacks. Life takes over. We fall off. Many times, whether you're a business entrepreneur or a leader or a a student, a graduate, or a professional, or a full-time mom at home, we do fall upon. There are a lot of mistakes that we do. How aware are we, and how are we bouncing back? It could be resilience based on your physicality, mentality, and emotionally as well. Sometimes the relationship could be chaotic. And how do you bounce back? How do you come out without burning the bridges? It could be sometimes daily problems. So you need to build your resilience muscles every day. That is why in my community, we have something called 21 days resilience building challenge for women exclusively. Now you may ask, I'm a busy mom and I don't have time. Now, how do I do this 21 days? You must see what are those busy moms who have done and who have, like a champion who have completed the 21 days, who've fallen into that track of momentum. So right after they finished the 21 days, they got that momentum. They got habitual to those habits because those are all productive habits. Now, once they are in the momentum, they can catch anything they want to decide to. But for you to kickstart, for you to get that push, that is how you can bounce back, right? A lot of people are not even aware that this is possible, especially women, because we are so drowned with our own routine responsibilities and the guilt. And, sometimes the situations is overwhelming that we are handling too many things. We don't know where to start, where to stop, and all that. So this 21 days will give you that clarity, necessary push with right kind of accountability, because you will see like-minded people like you and me are working towards you. So to on meaning working together in the journey. So that kind of environment you definitely need to have. So it's going to be of a very minute changes in your life. But if you bring that on a regular basis, so for example, I'm part of a community, I'm part of accountability for my own self. Even as a coach, we need to be under a mentorship, right? So I've completed week 50, right? In next 2 weeks, I will be completing 1 year of my resilience building. 1 year, just not 21 days. So what happens is I don't have to continue, but I fall in love in so much with my daily rituals that one, it has become part of me. I'm not going to forget that, because 1 year is a good amount of you working on your muscle, right? When I say muscle, it's like any other, even brain power. It's like we are trying to rewire your brain, but you need to take that effort day in and day out. Only then the rewiring can happen. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's similarly for your resilience building. You need to have that span of time. But with that 21 days, you will figure out what are all the changes that you need to do and how you have to do. After that, you're free to do what you want. You can still be part of the community. You can get support, because that's how I got support in my community. I'm part of. So it's a different level of because it comes with an accountability, which is a very rare thing. Okay. So you need to be mentally adaptable to allow that quick recovery from setbacks, and then less stress. If you are prepared, then it reduces the anxiety associated with that uncertainty. Now, that preparedness will also happen, provided you're willing to accept the change. Then innovation can happen. Flexibility fosters that innovative thinking. But before doing all this, right, if you're not open, if you're not willing, if you have full of resistance, you're not ready to bounce back because you know that it'll be a failure, you're set. If you don't have the growth mindset, you won't bounce back very quickly. You will be ending up with a lot of stress. There is no innovation can happen. There's no creativity can happen, because you'll be drained. You'll be in the same state of mind, in the same place where you're comfortable at. Then I also want to let you know, because we are dealing with brain skills, it is important to know that you should not be able to overdo on your strength also. Somebody who's watching this can even think, oh, maybe I have this mental flexibility good enough. I don't have to go through this episode. It's okay. It's good if have that thing. In fact, I can give you a reassurance that you can even really check using my quiz format. It's out there. It's going to be coming to you free of cost. I'll tell you how you can access that. So you can assess to know whether you're already there or not. But just in case, even if you have this strength in you, making sure that you're not overdoing on your strength. So that is a important nugget I would like to give you. That is an important insight and awareness that you need to have that. Even though there is a strength in you, you should not be overdoing on it. For example, you may be a flexible person. the more you're flexible, too much of flexibility can also have a consequence of it. Let's see what are those. Over adapting, constantly changing direction might lead to confusion or loss of focus. So you are a very adaptable person. So you think whenever there is a change is happening, you're ready to adapt. Now, something could already be working in you. Okay. You don't need, first of all, you need to identify whether you need to change or not. That is where it all starts. So that's where your left brain happens. So without getting that validation, you using this power of adaptability is not going to work, serve your goals. You may have other people dependent on you. You're going to ruin their peace of mind as well. So you need to be able to identify whether there is a need for change. Then constantly, you cannot keep on changing. So most of us do this, right? We have resolutions taken on January, okay, first, last for 10 days. So there's statistically, there is a research that right after 10 days of January, everybody dipped down, okay? It's usual now. And then after in July, sometimes you get that spark, and then again you get into a thing, and then something else will excite you, and then you shift. So typically, it is happening even when right now it's called they say shiny object syndrome, which means whatever is looking very attractive, especially during the learning part when you're finding some courses good for you, and then you pick that without even going through deeper and understanding what they are asking you to do. You don't want to try on that because you resist the change, and immediately you feel, okay, I'm good at adaptable, so I'll pick up the other mentor as well. So this is how you keep on shifting. Now, you may think you're adaptable because you can handle a lot of things and you're adaptable to a lot of learning environment, right? Just like how you started with your resolution, this is how you will start with anything, and you will end up changing it because that pattern of adaptability is not being productive. So it's not found its fullest expression. Let's let's talk about what is the missing element as well. Then comes lack of stability. Now, regularly shifting strategies can create uncertainty in projects. Now, this example of shiny object syndrome can also work in your work. So you are an entrepreneur who's pivoting a particular strategy, looking at somebody's, you get inspired with someone, and then you wanted to pivot it. Now, without even understanding or forecasting or even sustaining it for some time to even see whether it's working or not, you again change the route. So the more you change the strategy, it will confuse your customers. Eventually, you will also get confused and you lose your focus. That is where instability happens. And then your mindset is fixed. Okay, whatever I try, it's not going to work. This is how you get into the loop of failure. And then comes emotional fatigueness. Now, this may happen during the process and strategies. Now, what happens when you're dealing with people? The more you say yes and yes and yes and yes for everything around you, for every demands of people around you, to everybody, to every time, at every point of time, you are getting into exhaustion. Because being too flexible may cause mental exhaustion when frequent changes occur. Okay. What if those people change the strategies and you get to follow them without whether you like or not, whether you're ready or not? So that will definitely lead you to emotional fatigueness. Now, to curb this, you need to be very clear in your boundaries. To know what exactly you want, you need to be very clear in your boundaries. You need to have goals. You need to know your values. That is exactly what we do. The moment somebody comes into my community, the first thing that I do is identifying the core values and identifying the brain styles. We need to be able to understand their core values as a person. What are they really good at their core? And then brain skills comes because then we need to understand your brain capability, strength and weaknesses of it. And then we will understand your business goals or life goals. So we will align based on that. The moment you follow this process, by the time you set your goals, it's going to be very solid proof. You don't need an external motivation because it is all coming from you and your brain skills. You're not going to be conflicting on that. So once you have this, then inconsistency cannot come. Okay. So too much of flexibility may hinder developing a clear path to success, right? So the moment the goal is fixed, you're going to be directed to that only. Whether it is a failure or not, you need to give some time, patience and faith and process time, right? Because it's a destination which doesn't, it's not the just destination, it's the process which matters, the journey that it matters. That is what is going to define your outcome, right? So for that, the power of adaptability has to be consistently followed through. Then importance of flexibility in thinking comes, suppose you don't have it. Without this, individuals may feel stuck when plans don't go as expected. But with this, they can quickly pivot, take advantage of new opportunities or adjusting setbacks. Statistically, also, 90% of successful entrepreneurs cite mental flexibility as key to success. Okay. Now, who needs this? For entrepreneurs, of course, because they have to navigate a lot of market demands and pivot their business strategies and respond to market changes to be able to catch that flight very quickly, right? Because highly competitive, highly fast paced, who gets it? Because a lot of options are there. Why would somebody has to come to you? So speed of delivery is also important, for which you need to be able to quickly adapt. And now adapting also is logically, you cannot keep on changing your strategies because it's going to confuse everyone around you. You need to be fixed as well. And then professionals to adapt our project changes or new roles or evolving working environments. Parents who want to adjust the developmental changes of their children. Students to adjust learning strategies or career goals as they progress. That's why I said it is important to all walks of life. Now let's talk about quickly where and all you can apply flexibility. Now, flexibility, the title of this episode is talking about mental flexibility to be applied in all aspects of life to gain success. So, to cover all in the interest of time, I won't be able to cover all the aspects, but key important domains are like entrepreneurship, parenting, career, and we'll see what happens when the relationship comes in and, some technology adaptation. Overall, we'll see where you can apply. First thing is entrepreneurship. When there is a business model pivoting has to happen. Now, classic example, we just came out of the coronavirus pandemic, right? People say we are already in mental health, the next one, mental health pandemic. God knows how many more pandemics are lined up. But in essence, entrepreneurship is a journey of full of changes. Whether it is pandemic or not, there's always constantly changes. It's just that adding up to the problem, right? So for entrepreneurs, they have to be mentally flexible to adapt when market conditions or customer need changes or something like this global, you know, uh, what do you call it? Could be a political, geopolitical issues or government regulations or environmental changes or external catastrophic events. So we need to be flexible. We need to have that contingency plans for business continuity. Okay. So for example, a restaurant owner pivoting to offer delivery when they think the dining services is getting busy. How about that? So there has to be some creativity has to happen. Otherwise, they're going to lose their customers. Then flexibility in career development could be, it's a very key thing because when changing career paths or adapting to new roles, that is very important. Maybe you are in an individual contributor role, and when they, promote you, for you to progress in your ladder, you might have to handle a certain amount of people. So you cannot say that I'm a very nerdy, process-driven person. I don't like to handle people. Eventually, when you are a leader, you need to be handled both process and people. That is why logical and creative brain will help you deal with those kind of data. So example, a marketing professional transitions to digital marketing, learning new tools to stay competitive. Now, this is a classic example for people who went through the pandemic. People who did not embrace the technology changes or who could not accept the fact that their physical business is no more the only strategy. They have to have a hybrid model. They're already lost in the game. But people who did adapt to the hybrid model of embracing the digital presence and digital tools in their business, because a lot of business decisions happened on Zoom, a lot of education, got pivoted on Zoom. The entire education industry got pivoted during the pandemic times because outside world is such that we couldn't step out, and a lot of business got innovated, like all the delivery services business got flourished because people could not move. And what else, they are bringing their services business to their home delivery. So people who pivoted at that point of time flourished. Okay, people who could not, who still have that resistance, they're already lost in the game. Then comes flexibility in your parenting. Now, parent adjusting expectations and strategies as the children grows and facing different challenges is very, very important. Yesterday, we did a exclusively exclusive episode on how to use this power of flexibility in parenting to balance the growth of career and home. So if you're a career woman, I think that episode is exclusively for you. But a bit of it we'll have to see in order to have that mental flexibility also. How mentally are you ready when your child grows from a toddler to a preteen to teenager, teenager to young adult, and a young mom, or career business entrepreneur, or high professional graduate, and then looking for jobs or relocating. How are you, when the time comes, even during, for you to transition from the time that you handled your kids everywhere in your family, and then suddenly, sometime down the lane you'll have to empty your nest. They have to figure out their own way, and then uh, they have to move away from you. How are you mentally accepting? A lot of people could not adjust, because especially after they came out from the joint family and then they formed a nuclear family, they started feeling the vacuum of the absence of their children or people around them. So it is very important to have that adaptability even as a parent, okay, in you. And how are you going to extend that support to your child as when they grow? Because they are changing biologically, also they're changing physically, mentally, emotionally. They need a different approach. So from strict discipline, you'll have to get into a flexible discipline at that point of time. You don't have to lose that disciplinary action, but then sometimes instead of discipline, you might have to have a positive reinforcement, right? So a parent changing strict discipline to positive reinforcement as their child enters adolescence is a classic example. Then comes health and wellness. There also that we need to be, adaptable. Sometimes, in my own example I gave you, I had to, suddenly had to handle that physical inflexibility, right? Because I couldn't stand and then I was in crutches. I mean, it was a mere inflammation, but something was not right. I just couldn't be the same way how I used to robustly be in, back in my homeland. So now when I go back to my fitness regime, I'll have to adapt because I'll have to give in to what my body demands. Accordingly, change my, um, you know, flexible, what do you call, fitness regime. So similarly for my diet. So depending on my age, depending on the changes the body demands, or depending on the goals, I may be a health coach looking to be really fit all the time, or maybe applying for a beauty pageant. So my goal will be different. But if I'm only a full-time mom and I have to take care of my health, make it only functional, then I might reduce the intensity of my fitness regime, right? Accordingly, the diet also get changed. And even for people to people, it changes. It is very dynamic. So what do you think is a good diet plan for you may not be suitable for your spouse. So adaptability everywhere, right? A fitness enthusiast, if you are pivoting how to have a low impact exercises, especially after an injury, to stay active is very, very important. And that's where the adaptability kicks in as well. Then comes project management. In your career, flexibility allows that project managers to adjust the timelines eventually, right? Sometimes, mistakes happen and delays happen. You need to be flexible. You need to have that kind of a negotiation power so that you can talk to your customers and get that thing working for everybody. If you can get that extension, that definitely works for everyone to complete it without much chaos. But if you don't have that adaptability in you, you may not be able to articulate to your clients, right? So you need to be mentally flexible. So to embrace that delay, in fact, you can even plan it, forecasting that delay. But that can only happen when you don't have that friction, when you can forecast, right? Embrace that flaws in everybody. Accordingly, you pivot that strategies and resources when that changes occur so that you don't hit by surprise or people in your team don't hit by that obstacle, right? So project manager redirects the team focuses to meet new client requirements in the mid project. That can also happen. You never know. Maybe it's a good sign that you're getting an additional project, but you may be handling a current project which is on a deadline fire. But how do you manage? So that's again where your adaptability comes in. Then comes brain hacks. Okay. Now so far we have seen the applicability where you're going to apply. We will see what are the shortcuts that you can take to activate your left brain in case you think there is a missing element in you that you can, improve, or you are already good at handling certain things, you can reinforce that. Then how to activate your right brain? and your midbrain. Okay, I'm going to be giving 5 brain hacks. The first thing, if you want to cultivate adaptability, flexibility in your mental, thinking, then you need to be having a open-mindedness first of all. That's your right brain activation. You're going to stay open. You're going to remain receptive to new ideas and perspectives, even if they don't align at that point of time. A lot of things, why do we have stress? Because we resist to changes. And what are the changes? Typically, everything is in life is a change, right? Um, when I say everything, unless it becomes a routine, until such time, it's just change. And especially when we deal with people, people are constantly evolving. Unless you have a framework, you're working in a team where things are structured and you know things get regulated by policy, project framework, standard of protocols and all that. So unless, even otherwise, you can expect 60-70% organization, even at corporate. That 30% is a buffer where it can go anywhere. Maybe some external factors, it could be natural calamities, or anything can happen, adversities can happen for business continuity, or it could be the people involved in it, they may go through their own life adversities, so because of which, because of their absence, it might get hit. But how open are you, right, to those areas, to keeping yourself prepared for it, so that you can consider alternatives as well. You're going to explore different viewpoints and possibilities before making decisions. So before you sign up a project, you should be having this ability of forecasting and accepting the present situation. You may still not have that capacity, right? Or you cannot forecast that, saying that, it's a budget constraint, that we may not be able to hire that kind of a, person. So how can we adapt? How can we upgrade the existing pool of people? How can we, line up for a progression? So how can we use the existing pool of resources, technology available within us, within the budget? So that is how you will have to create options, backup plans. Okay. So this happens naturally in a corporate setup. Now, what about life? Even life, you need to have that contingency plan. As a mother, we're good with having a backup plans, right? Especially when you have a toddler, we're always on the toes. We know exactly if the daycare person is not the nanny is not going to be there, you exactly know where you have to drop your kid for your daycare in case you have, work goals or something to take care of it. So similarly for your life, any other domains, we need to have that alternatives. Only then we'll have a lot of options. Then only the decision making is wiser enough. If you're only operating with one or two choices, then you're restricted. It may not be an informed choice. Then comes embracing changes. Now you're going to, despite of doing all this, life can still take over. It may not be a perfected outcome. On that note, you're going to embrace that change. So you're going to view changes as opportunities for growth and innovation. You might have to take that obstacle as an opportunity to grow, learn and grow. That is how open-mindedness can operate. So first thing is you have to stay open to, make sure that things may not be aligned at this point of time, but you can always walk towards that alignment, because that is why process is the, or the journey is the, journey matters more than the destination. If you're stuck with the destination, you're a perfectionist, and it's a myth. Perfection syndrome is a myth. Only progress is real. So people with growth mindset will be open to changes. And what they will do is they will create alternatives, right? They will always be open. Okay, if this is not happening, I will still have that backup. And then they will be okay to embrace their own flaws and other people's flaws on the way, right? That's how you can validate your, you can break through that resistance, because things can go wrong. I always have this policy in my mind. 80% I'll work towards that perfecting. Okay. 20% I'll give in for life. It could be on business or work or home or life or anything, because that flexibility, I always take this example of this case study, which we are going to be talking about. A personality is my favorite, and he is a very famous personality, everybody will know. He works with on different initiatives, crazy initiatives, right? He's leading in innovation technology because he works with projects which for sure 80% fail. So imagine that kind of a brain skills. How are they open to that kind of setbacks, and what kind of backup they should be working on, right? Then comes, how many of you are loving this kind of strategies? This, if there is any breakthrough in you, please let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy. All right, now next comes is the hack where you're going to break down problems. This is a classic strategy. It's a hack, my favorite hack. Whenever there is a overwhelming happening, the first thing is to break down that overwhelm. That's a pure shot logic brain, left brain driven. So first is to identify the issue. Now you need to understand the root cause of what is creating the problem. Clearly define the problem you are facing. A lot of people are unable to even define the problem that they are going to. Whether it could be an emotional problem or it could be a work related problem, they're not able to define it. That's the first step. And then you're going to analyze the components in it. You need to be able to comprehend your problem. That is why we, ask education. You know, I it is pathetic to see when the kids are not able to comprehend typically the math problems, right? So when we went for teachers meetings during the elementary schools, a lot of people complain on the math problems because the kids are not able to comprehend the problem statements. Okay, even I had a problem when I was a kid, but I learned it, right? I'm not a high scorer in math, and math is not my favorite subject, but I somehow created the interest. I learned it. Okay. So it is very important to apply the comprehension in any part of life so that you'll be able to break the problems into smaller and manageable parts. And you should be able to teach the same thing to your children or to your work people, right? If they are found struggling about problems, the first thing is to ask them to define the problem, right? Comprehend the solutions by themselves. Then explore solutions. Ask them to explore. It is important to consider multiple approaches to each component, and there is options. There are options for each and everything. Only when you are able to find options, it's actually called optimism, exercising optimism. It's like a skill again. So in my blogs, articles, which I will be writing, I am talking about 8 important emotional competencies that we'll always have to build it and keep it. It's like a toolkit. Okay. I am putting that as an article in a storyfied format. You will see how beautifully raising optimism can be exercised. So when a person is positive, when a person is open to, when the person is willing to be changing, adapt or adjust or compromise or let go, they will be able to find options. A person who's stuck, I say, okay, if you're telling me to change, I'm okay, I'll change it. But I have my own resistance. They cannot build multiple options, in which case they are restricted to take what is available. They cannot have creativity kicking in. Okay, so you need to be able to explore solutions and then implement and adjust. Accordingly, you're going to apply that solutions. Be ready to adapt. Suppose the solution is not working, you're just going to take the backup solutions and going to work on it. You're just going to stuck with that saying, I told you so. It's not working, and then you don't progress. You need to be keep trying. So striving is all about it, right? Because nobody attains that perfection thing. Even after attaining $1 billion, that person will strive for even more. They're not going to stop. But it is important to adjust and adapt. Then comes reframing setbacks. Okay, that's your right brain component. You're going to change your perspective. How do you change it? How can you turn that obstacle into an opportunity? Of course, logically, you can, move around the components to find whether it's profitable or not. Mentally, how can you approach? You're going to do that reframing in your mind. First of all, any challenges comes in, don't get psyched out. In your words also, reserve your comments. I've seen this happening, especially kids who are very expressive. Out there here, whether it's kids or adults, everybody is so expressive, so vocal. They immediately get psyched out using their words. Oh no, man. Oh shit. All that curse words happens, and then it's actually psyching the mind, first of all, right? So it is very important to reserve comments. So that's a hack by itself. The moment you're able to have that self-control of your words, you're actually giving a lot of power, conserving that energy and power to deal with it. And then how you reframe it is changing that obstacle in your mind as an opportunity. What if something is, you're raising a curiosity in your mind to approach that. What if this is going to give me some benefit? Or if this is going to have some pressure while I work on it. So you're going to view that setbacks as opportunity for growth and innovation, not as failures. Okay. Then you're going to, even if you have gotten the curiosity and you're walking on the unknown zone, sometimes failures, sometimes your initiative could be a failure, but you're not going to stop it. You're going to keep walking on that jungle, right? Until you find your way out, you are not going to stay there stuck. Suppose you are stuck in that jungle on the night, you will at least wake up in the morning and you keep walking on it, right? Because nobody wants to die in the jungle. So how I adaptability kicks in there naturally, right? You will figure out when it's getting cold or rainy, you will figure out where to, stay there under the shade. And right after this rain stops or, sun comes up, you will again start walking. So nature teaches a lot of adaptability. But in reality, when we're not going to be there in the nature out there all the time. Even in society, for our normal goals, it is important to learn from our experience, adapt, and just keep moving on. Okay. Staying positive, maintaining that optimistic outlook and focus on practical potential solutions. Then comes consulting multiple perspectives. That is one of the hack where you can create multiple options. Your own brain style can give you some amount of output or direction. It is important to take input from different brain styles. Imagine the compounding effect of you working with the different, that's why it's called masterminds. So two brain comes in contact. It's actually creating a third brain effect. So you must have, realized this when you're interacting with somebody who's in the same frequency of yours, um, you know, supporting each other in your goals. It could be even your spouse or, your business partner or anybody you're working together as a shared goal. You will immediately see that there is a third brain opening up. Okay. So that only means that you're able to take in perspectives and then you will have multiple choices to work on. So for which, what you're going to do is you're going to seek feedback, ask input for diverse sources to gain fresh insights. In life also, one of my elders in the family, they said, if you want to know what is life, you need to be able to gel with a 6-year-old, make friendship with your 6-year-old, and see whether you can make friendship with a 60-year-old also. Because there are both are different dynamic in nature and different worlds. They are in different worlds, right? So a person in between who can comprehend what is happening in the 6-year-old brain and the 60-year-old, because it comes from a different experience and different approach, right? You never know. 6-year-old, their brain and the brilliance could be more than what we expected. And the 60-year comes with a different brilliance of their own wisdom and experience. So that's how we take multiple perspectives. And then you're going to consider those alternatives based on that. Okay, and integrate that ideas. So you need to be also integrating your ideas based on your current goals. Just because you're taking multiple perspectives, just because you've asked them, you're not going to apply that directly. You got to again interpret and integrate your ideas into it, infuse your the goals, align it to your goals, right? Then comes right brain, where you're going to practice mindfulness. It is very important to be in the present, thrive, breathe. Being is important more than the doing. All these could be doing. Okay. Mentally, we are actually doing a lot, doing. Even when you're sitting silent, you're constantly thinking. As a mom, we know exactly what is the next meal. We should be thinking about it. We will be worried about when is the school pickup and what is the class timing. So who's going to do what? What are the homeworks pending? And if I'm working, then I will also think about my project deadlines and what are the monitoring aspects that I have to take care. Constantly running, right? It's actually doing. So that is why there's a lot of hacks that we have discussed in our episodes as emotional intelligence, how to get that mental peace. For example, typically walking in the nature without gadgets. It's like contemplating, right? There also sometimes our mental, brain is so active, so it is important to practice that mindfulness, okay? Staying present. So focus on the current moment to reduce that stress and anxiety. You can do a lot of mindfulness practice, breathing practice, meditation practice, observing your thoughts. Notice your thoughts without judgment to gain the clarity. Breathe deeply, okay? Then this is my favorite section, and this is my favorite um, personality as well. I get influenced by looking at his, crazy initiatives that he take and his success stories. Uh, a lot of people know about him, and then He's a famous business conglomerate into various initiatives. He is taking care of. He was initially, I came to know about him when he was the owner of PayPal. That's where the email payment happened. That itself revolutionized the industry. People did not think about collecting payments, collecting money on emails. So that stood out. And then he ventured into Tesla energy industry where he brought out battery cars. Okay. That again stood out and is creating a revolution. It is contributing to the environment. It has its own controversies, but that's how the initiative was. And then he is right now into so many things, right? SpaceX, and then X, Twitter. Then he's into also OpenAI, Neuralink. All these are AI driven, technology driven, and he's venturing into space, making sure space is accessible to mankind. Imagine all these initiatives that he's into would have definitely expanded his horizon, right? Sometimes it is inhuman, or I'm sorry, it's not inhuman, it's not humanly possible. Of course, he is not only the person who's doing the job, he has a team. But for you to lead that kind of a team, to be able to have successfully built something which is a long standing, it takes immense brain skills, right? So I was intrigued to understand every time I speak about certain personalities that I always follow. It is intriguing to understand so many things about them. So I'm really honored to be using this 100 episodes to be able to talk in depth of these selected few personalities. I'm sure there are a lot of people out there as an example of emotional intelligence and how are they using their brain power. But in the interest of time and to be able to stay relevant to the episode, I'm picking up these personalities. Let's talk about Elon Musk with regards to the power of flexibility in mental thinking. So his strategic decision making, which is a left brain, he analyzes market trends and technological barriers to identify the best forward path forward. Imagine I'm talking about, you know, it's a radical thing, right? Somebody would have not even thought about payment collected on emails, right? And then right now, the entire industry, after 15 years or something, entire world is churning towards digital payments, right? Successfully. So that is a future forecast. But he would have to be doing that at that present time, right? So for him to take that initiative, he would have strategically decided that, forecasting the future as well. And he had to adapt because current barriers could be a lot of things that could have stopped him, inventing something like that or being part of something like that kind of an innovation. But he adapted to that industries where there is a blend of both current and the current realistic reality and the future reality. Similarly, another brain skills is visionary thinking. So he uses creative problem solving to navigate those challenges, keeping his long-term vision in mind. Even though the current barriers could be like, no, but nobody would have even been interested about email payments, right? Because it's going to delay and it's not a hot cash dealt with it. So, but then it crossed through all the barriers and it was a key revolution for a lot of business transactions. Okay. So it may not be understood or welcomed for certain business industries, but they did not see the need of it. But it does made a huge impact for other industries. So for which he as a person and his team, the company that he's leading, has to be adaptable for a lot of barriers, cut through the noise, and then be able to move forward. That could have happened only when the visionary thinking combined with the strategies that he's going to decide, because he cannot make the company loss, run over loss. He need to be able to embrace the current reality as well. Then comes resilience. As much as he has challenges to embrace the current reality with that of the future reality, he must have gone through a lot of barriers for which, he has to be bouncing back like a pro, considering all the setbacks like a learning milestones, right? Stepping stones for his success stories. So it is very important to be resilient as well. So to be staying flexible in the face of failures and setbacks, it is important to be resilient. So on that note, I would also like to give you some touch upon in other domains of in life, where do you exactly need this kind of a flexibility as well? So in decision making, especially, how do you create this mental flexibility? You're going to gather information And then, how do you gather information? Like, we just saw a successful person who's demonstrating those skills, right? How can we adapt those skills in our day-to-day basis? Is during the decision making, you're going to gather those kind of information. I just read out that his strategic decision making allows him to gather, he works on data, right? Big companies rely on data. And today, when AI is disrupting, when there is a machine learning happening, it learns from the data that we provide. It learns from the data which is available on the internet. So it is very important to gather that kind of a diverse data and then consider the alternatives expected. Without getting the multiple options enabled, your decisions will, that strategy will not be sustainable. Then evaluate the consequences also. It is good to be adaptable, but you need to be able to bear the consequences as well. You need to be able to accept what comes on your way. So without bearing that consequences or even forecasting that consequences, you will be drowned. Then remain open, right? Be willing to adjust your decision as the new information arises, because we are working on unknown zone and change is an unknown thing, right? Until it gets familiar. Then comes flexibility in your team collaboration. If you're working as a team, how can you induce the mental flexibility? You're going to embrace diversity. It could be a different walks of people, cultural background or education background or status or technology background. You're going to embrace all that diversity, value that in different perspectives and working styles within your team. Then adapt a communication accordingly. Adjust your communication style to suit the different team members. In corporates, inclusivity and diversity is a key aspect, right? Different walks of life, different capacity of people will be, working under same roof as a common shared goals. It is very important to be considerate and be courteous and communicative, and also be working as a collaboration, right? Be open to change also, welcome those new ideas and be willing to adjust to team strategies. If you are watching this and you are a full-time mom, you may not have this effect of different walks of cultural background. But even as a we did an episode where we spoke about flexibility in relationship, where there is a blended family, right? Right now, the world is open to have different cross, cultural marriages or families coming around. Even associations, right? You may be associated with a particular business goal or a life goal. But you may find a lot of people over there with different backgrounds, whether it is language or culture or food or education or their own outlook of how they approach life. They come with different perspectives. How are we able to collaborate? And that's essentially what is social skills, right? It is important to be flexible, to be open to that kind of change. And then comes flexibility in learning also. You're going to explore for you to be, you know, why I've taken this learning sphere as well, because it's very, very evident where you need to be applying your adaptability quotient. If you are a person with a fixed mindset, then there's no need of any growth. There's no need of coming out of comfort zone. But if you are a growth mindset person who constantly want to grow, that means you will also be a lifelong learner. And now for you to learn, you definitely need to have that flexibility. You should be able to open and explore new methods to learn and grow. Be open to different learning techniques and resources, and even community. I mean, different leaders have their own different ways to impart learning. Different institution, right? Different universities have their own different ways. And it is important to also embrace the technology driven learning methods, adaptable to challenges as well. Adjust your approach when facing the learning difficulties, and embrace lifelong learning attitude, staying curious and be open to learning. With this, you will be able to figure out the ways to how to upgrade. You don't get stuck. Then comes a relationship. Although we have done exclusive episode on relationship, I'm just going to touch upon three components that you need to remember when you need to be mentally flexible in relationship. First is to actively listen to them. That clearly shows that you're available for them. That means you've broken down that resistance in you to be able to be present with them. So be open to understanding their perspectives and needs. You may still not be aligned with them, but you're just listening to them. Okay. and genuinely listening. It's just not for hearing. All right. Genuinely to be able to understand them. Then compromise. Be willing to find that middle ground in conflicts or disagreements, especially when you want to build a relationship. If somebody wants to burn the relationship, they will not take an effort to find the middle ground. So that's of no use for them. But if you want to strengthen the relationship, you need to be able to find that middle ground. You need to be able to take turns and give and take, ask for more help, seek, and all that can happen. Okay. Then adapt your communication style also. You need to be able to articulate that you're ready to open to change, right? That's a barrier in a lot of us, that although we are mentally flexible, we are not able to articulate what our thoughts and feelings are. That is why emotional literacy is important. Adjust your communication accordingly to suit different relationship and situations. Okay. Then comes, even despite of doing all this, you will still have that resistance, right? We are human beings. How do you overcome that resistance to change? Is to acknowledge the discomfort. You cannot run away from it. If you avoid it, it's only going to chase you after that. So you're going to recognize that change, which can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary, may be necessary. Only then you're ready to change. But if it's not necessary, you don't have to change. But if it is, you're going to acknowledge and then move forward. Because what is the use of not, understanding there is a discomfort? You're only going to fake it. If you know, if you accept the fact, yeah, it is going to be discomfort, you're ready at least. You will not fall short. But if you don't understand the discomfort and on the way, if you really find yourself struggling, then you will again question back, right? It is important to first acknowledge and accept, right? And then identify the benefits. So that will keep you motivated. If you don't find a benefit attached to it, who will actually be motivated to walk around for any changes? That only means you're on autopilot. You simply want to, just say yes and keep doing. That is why I said in the initial time, it is important to have that logical acceptance and as well as the emotional acceptance. Take small steps. Okay. As much as you're ready to, you're training your brain right now to rewire, to use this power of adaptability. So take small steps. Okay. Approach changes gradually to build that confidence and momentum. It takes time for the brain to accept, because it's a biological organ for, for that matter. It needs time also to adapt, right? And then seek support. You're going to reach out to others for encouragement and guidance during transition. We're all human. We are not crazy people. We definitely need that support, emotional support, understanding, and offer the same thing for others during transitions. It can be your child, it can be your colleague, or your spouse, or your parents, or anybody, right? Then flexibility in goal setting also. Set adaptable goals, right? Create that smart goals, which can be measured and realistic and time bound. And adjust accordingly to, life takes over. So you need to be adjusting. Even in this 100 days life, I could not come on 1 or 2 days because life takes over, family demands, something comes in, I have to give in. But I will come back, right? That's where the resilience also comes in, because I'm open to adapt and my family is also able to adapt because I was able to articulate the need very clearly, right? And then regular review also. So I need to often go out and see whether what kind of topics are working, and also see how I can make use of this technology. The availability. Sometimes the sun will be down, the lighting is very dark, so I need to be adjusting and reviewing the goals whether it is serving me or not. Then embrace the alternatives. Suppose it is not serving, I need to adjust and accordingly pace my work and style, right? At this point of time, even despite of knowing all this, you may have a lot of questions as to how you're able to easily adapt. Are you really doing? Are you well aware of those alternatives, or do you seek support from others? How are you open for suggestions for new ideas? How do you stay calm? How do you bounce back? So there could be a lot of questions. So I have a tool for you. It's called EQ Quest Bundles. I was also like this, right? So for any skill set, I would first like to understand whether do I stand there or not already. If so, then I might use this strength to build that area of improvement. Suppose I don't have it. Suppose, this left brain skills is something that I seem to be missing. Then I will immediately start working on it. Okay, that's how self-assessment can happen, where you're discovering your own strength and area of improvement. For which I'm going to give you a 10 to 20 question format in a form of Google format, Google quizzes, which will come on to your email ID, whatever you punch in. So it'll be a personalized summary. based on your questions that you're answered, there'll be added scores, and against, if you don't score in a particular question, you will also find tips to area, improve that area. Accordingly, for all these 100 episodes, you're going to be having quiz for each and every episode. Imagine for all these episodes, if I have to create, it definitely going to take time. But I want you to register in the link given in the description. Okay, whenever it's going to be ready, it's going to come to you, especially as a lifetime access. So as many as time you want, you can take it. Maybe you're taking this adaptability in mental thinking uh, right now. Maybe 6 months down the lane, you have worked on it and you want to assess yourself again, you can still be able to take it. So it's out there for lifetime access, but it is out for a cost because it demands a lot of time and effort and logistics. I am ready to give you 100% free coupon code, free of cost. All I want is, I want to know how much have you ingested from these episodes, if it has really resonated with you or not. So if you can share top three insights that you have learned from this episode as comments below, I'll look at your comments and ask you for your email ID and give you 100% free coupon code. Okay? Not just for this, I'm also giving you a free coupon code for 21 days resilience building challenge. It's going to be a live challenge and life changing. Okay? With this, I also have a workshop where we're going to be discussing on how to really look at the brain styles. So far, we have been only talking about left brain, right brain as a theory, but I'll show you how to look at a AI-driven brain style report. And I'll also tell you how to derive your own unique brain style reports. And based on which, it's going to be an interactive session where you can align your goals with that of your brain skills in that 2 hours of workshop. So that'll be there between anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, depending on the format. And it is out there for women, exclusively for women. So register in the link whenever it's out there, you're going to be notified. Okay. With that being said, there are a lot of free resources as well. You might want to make use of it. It is out there for um, you know, in Spotify. So please do subscribe to my Spotify as well if you want to listen to a shorter version of it. But if you're interested with this kind of a, PPT and a lot of strategies, going deeper into one particular skill, then this is a place for you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm also giving resources on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Substack. So make use of all these free resources and understand that flexibility is the cornerstone of success in the world. Okay, when there is a full of change happening, high fast, highly competitive, it is important to have that adaptability quotient in us. Very, very key skill set. By staying adaptable is when you can turn all your setbacks as an opportunity. And if you really found this kind of episode really resonated with you, share your like button, share your likes and love, and also comments. So I will know that, it's a truly, it's an inspiration for me. And also share it with somebody whom you think they're going through some tough time and they really have to pivot. But maybe flexibility could be a missing element in them. So with you sharing this episode, it'll definitely help them come out of it. Okay. I'll see you.